All right, welcome back. We're still here with Jerry Bowyer, Robert Pavlik, and Joe Livornia. Thank you, Joe, for that extra duty. Good stuff. Let me go to Bob Pavlik. Bob, just give me a quick take. Are you worried about this sort of shrinking money supply story and the fact that the reflation trade has gotten slammed in the last month during this correction? A lot of hedge fund guys bet on it. They've gotten slammed. I want to get your take on it.
Yeah, I think Joe makes a great point. I think one of the major problems here is the securitization market. But if you take a look at, who's buying this paper out there from the securitization process, I mean, nobody wants to buy credit card loans. Nobody wants to buy, automobile-backed loans. And nobody wants to buy risky mortgage-backed loans. The TALF, I believe, was the process that was designed to help this, whole thing move forward, and nobody was willing to, sort of participate in it.
So if the Fed, there's not much they can do. Do you think they're right to shrink the growth of the money supply like they have?
Well, it's kind of strange because I don't think inflation is really the worry near term, and I think you could probably start to expand this, and you would get, some people in the marketplace.
So they're making a mistake. They might be making a big mistake.
I think they are making a mistake, but I think you're eventually going to see a concern about inflation, but now is not the time. I think it's still a year and a half out.
It's a couple years away, minimum. Jerry Bowyer, what's your take on the stock market? I mean, look, there's a recovery out there someplace. I think Michael Dart is right. I'm not so sure, though. It's going to be near term, and it might be slower. All right? What's your take on how does this play into the stock market?
Look, I think they're all the same story. Basically, we have, this 4-week bear market, this mini bear we've had, corresponds almost perfectly with the announcement of the Uber regulator Fed plan. And I think that's also what slammed the reflation play. Because as you pointed out, they ran the printing press, right? And then the money goes where? It goes into excess reserves. You've seen the chart on excess reserves.
All of it.
It's off the chart.
All of it.
So that's where the money is stuck. And if the Fed could print some more and expand their balance sheet, that's fine. But until the banks actually take those excess reserves and deploy them into the economy, we won't get the recovery and we won't get the reflation and we won't get the bull.
No, that's a very good point. Joe Livornia, all right, Michigan sentiment was down today, and it was down more than anybody thought. I think people thought it might rise slightly. The other interesting data point today, Joe, the trade balance has fallen to the lowest point in many years, and some people, like our friend John Riding, thinks that you could actually have either flat or slightly positive second quarter GDP because the trade balance has shrunk so much and because maybe inventories won't be as bad as we fear. Is it possible we will see a positive GDP in the preliminary report, which comes out, what, in about 10 days?
Right. Larry, I love John, but I always seem to disagree with him. I mean, I think it's possible, but the imports are weak, and that actually tells me inventories are weak. So trade is adding to GDP, but the inventory liquidation could be greater. We've seen a lot of weakness, Larry, in manufacturing and wholesale inventories, and I wouldn't be surprised next week if we see the same thing on the retail side. So I don't think we're positive GDP quite yet.
All right. Bob Pavlik, come back to you. I'm real big on the banks, okay, and it's my favorite play, and I want to get your honest opinion about that, agree or disagree, particularly as we go into the earnings season, and we're going to get a handful of some big bank earnings reports next week, which, in my opinion, could really determine the whole outlook here for the summer stock market. Where do you come out on it?
S&P, they're expecting a decline of about 35%. I don't think you're going to see that again. I think many of the analysts that have these estimates out there that are expecting this rather dramatic decline haven't really fully factored in the fact that the economy has shown some slight improvement. I think the guidance that they've been getting from the corporations that they cover, hasn't been fully clear to them, so they haven't been able to pass that information along to the analysts, and so the analyst estimates are still too low.
So you think better or worse earnings?
I think it's going to be better, and I think you're going to see a repeat of what happened in the first quarter, where about 67% of the companies in the S&P were able to beat. And again, you're right on with the financials. That's what's going to be key to this recovery rate, for the next couple of weeks. You're going to see a better earnings environment for the banks, and I think that's what's going to help lift the market.
Banks may surprise on the upside. Is that what you're coming out on?
Exactly.
Well, I love it because I happen to agree with you. Not everybody does. What about, real quick, Bob, techies? All right, you got some big techs coming out, including Intel next week. A lot of people say this is tech's moment to provide leadership. What do you think?
I agree. I still think that you're going to see a lift up in some of the tech, and I think tech is still going to be that winning sector in the overall market.
And Jerry Bowyer,
Yeah.
we're going to dodge a bullet, huh? Cap and trade, dead in the water. Last thought this
Right.
evening.
Stops in the Senate. Thank heavens.
All right.
It's gone.
We just get a little SBA credit creation. You know, how about those central planners? Those Ivy League central planners, they know better than we do. I mean, let's give them credit. They're smart guys, Jerry.
They've done so well so far. Why not give them more?
Jerry Bowyer, thank you. Robert Pavlik, thank you. Joe Lavorgny, you guys are great on a Friday night. You know, I can almost get optimistic on this story because I do think bank profits are going to lead the way. I think this economy is going to be slower to recover. Coming up next, AIG bonuses are back. I'm so sick of it. I am so sick of it. There's no end game in sight. I'm going to have a wee bit of an editorial comment. But first, let's check in with my friend Dennis Neal, the one and only Dennis Neal, the brilliant Dennis Neal, to see what he's cooking up for the top of the hour. Hello,
well,
Dennis.
I'm going to speak out in defense of those AIG bonuses. And also, we got the Obama posse riding herd over too many businesses. And something else on that Obama photo that some are calling Obamagate.
Oh, what was he looking at, Dennis?
Yeah,
what
we'll
was
have
he
the
looking
answer
at?
for you. He wasn't looking at what you think he was looking at.
Okay, Dennis Neal.
Thanks, Larry.
Top of the hour. Everybody stay and watch CNBC Reports. We are the Kudlow Report, and we'll be right back.